You seen the movie, you watched the cartoon, you played the video game. But today we're going to talk about where it all came from, the Uncanny X-Men Days of Future Past comic. And also we're going to talk about what was adapted and what was changed. For instance, Bishop wasn't in the original story, but Lois Lane was? Let's talk about it. My book of the week is a old school retro book, X-Men Days of Future Past. Yes, the classic Days of Future Past story. I'm doing that. The original story that was in the comics was 2 issues, only 2 issues. So I'm doing one book this week, one book the next week. And also, I do want to say this is one of the most iconic covers of all time. If you dig into it, it tells you everything you need to know about it. Wolverine with X-Men and all the dead X-Men they name it on the back of it. This is just a classic cover. If you don't know anything about the story, you should know this cover. So yeah. Matter of fact, this is the first time you've seen Old Man Logan. So let's get to the story. Let's get to it. No more preliminaries. The book starts out in the far, far distant future of 2013. So yeah, that's when the book takes place. So we see Kitty Pryde running through Manhattan, which has been torn down, this dystopian future, and she's carrying supplies, but she's sneaking through. She's taking a shortcut because Wolverine wants to meet her somewhere. So she goes through Rogue Country. Now, Rogue is not that Rogue you're talking about. The Rogues are a gang in the future. And they're like, oh, you're in Rogue territory now. They pretty much go after anybody that shows up. Because at this point, everybody hates the Sentinels. Mutants, humans, everybody. So they just attack everybody, just steal everything, and that's it. And they go from there. She can't use her mutant powers on it because she got that mutant collar on right now. So she can't do anything. And the leader just tells her, kill this mutie witch, you know. And that's when Wolverine shows up. Not on my watch, bub. And the guy pulls a knife on Wolverine, of course. And Wolverine narrates to himself, like, if this was 30 years ago, I would have cut this guy in 2 by now. But if I unleash my claws, the Sentinels will know we're here. So I got to, like, fight this guy one-on-one. Anyway, kick shot all of them, beat the fuck out of him.
I like how how the thug looks like a native and shit. Like, you know,
I think he's just, I don't think he's native. I think he's just.
But like, yeah, those punk rock street thugs of the 80s or 70s and 80s.
Yeah, that was cultural appropriation. You know what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he rescues Kitty, gets her up, and basically tell her, look, y'all got a rendezvous to us tonight. Oh, and the reason Wolverine doesn't have a collar, because when the shit went down, he went to Canada. So, yeah. So, and he's just here to get some shit from them, bring it back down to them, and he's handing Kitty a jammer. So what the jammer does, it will deactivate the mutant collar within a certain radius, but it only works for like a certain amount of time. So they just can't use it anytime they want to. When they use it one time, they can't use it after that. So they got to use it at the right time. And he said, when you use it, give me a call and we'll go to phase 2. She's like, okay, cool. So Kitty takes the bus. And I just not noticed, I didn't realize this when I first read this book. So the thing was, I'm just not realizing about the book, there's no electricity in the future, in this hellhole we're in right now, because she's taking the bus, but the bus is being carried by horses. So, yeah, and she basically telling him how everybody's been labeled. So they label, the mutants have an M on their back, the humans have an H on their back, and I think A is for people that aren't allowed to breed or some shit like that. But anyway, that's how they label who's who. So she's basically walking into the camp, giving supplies, like Hulk mutant. She's like, look, y'all want to get supplies. That's why I'm late, because I got attacked by a rogue gang member. So, and she's walking the field, and all of these gravestones are superheroes and villains, not just mutants. The Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Dr. Doom, Black Panther, they all have gravestones here. They killed everybody. Because just in fact that they might produce a mutant down the road. They just killed everybody. So she goes there and she's like the only X-Men to survive a Colossus Storm, Franklin Richards, who's an adult now, and Rachel Summers. So this is the very first appearance of Rachel Summers, Cyclops and Jean Grey's daughter from the future. They don't really name her here, but that's who she is. A guy in a wheelchair rolls up with him, and it is Magneto. Yeah. So Magneto's in a wheelchair. He's with them, helping them, and he's going to help them with their plan. So, yeah. And they basically telling Rachel, are you ready to do the plan? She's like, yeah, I'm ready. So let's go ahead and activate the jammers. We'll go ahead and do this. So Colossus is telling Kitty, because they're married in his future, like, are you sure you want to do this? She's like, yes, I want to do this because of all my friends at the Sentinel Seals and our babies. I want revenge for them too. So apparently they had kids and the Sentinels killed them in the future. So yeah, I didn't know that. So anyway, they go to the future, and you're going to remember this scene from the movie. So Rachel Summers puts Kitty in a trance and is going to transplant her body into her past body. So it was Rachel that did that to Kitty. So that's we're going there. So she does her timey-wimey shit, and we go to the 1980 in the present time, quote, quote, present time. And Kitty is walking in because Nightcrawler is telling him he's late for the Danger Room meeting. And this is her first time walking to a Danger Room session, and she didn't know how dangerous it was. She walks dead into the middle of it, and Angel's trying to save her, but all she's doing is putting her in harm's way. And Wolverine, like, don't do that. You're going to get her killed. Meanwhile, one of the Danger Room robots about to cut his head off. He ducks. He's like, you motherfucker, I'm going to kill your ass right after I say Kitty. Kitty's getting shot at and shit. She's panicking, so she can't phase out of the way like she normally can. Storm's trying to save her. She throws her. Colossus rips her shit away, but he got to turn to human because if Kitty lands in his hand while he's steel, she's going to hurt herself. So he turns into human, and as soon as he turns into human, a power driver gets ready to splat both of them because he's in human form. And that's when Nightcrawler teleports in there and hits the panic button and saves everybody. And that's when Colossus like right there. And she's like, Kitty, you okay? Like, as long as I'm in your arms, I am, So I'm like, Nightcrawler, what the hell were you? Like, I was watching Professor X on TV. He's in Washington right now. So I want to see what he was doing. And that's when Nightcrawler is like, Kitty, are you okay? And you can see Kitty is kind of apprehensive even getting next Nightcrawler. She just joined the team like maybe 3 issues ago. So she's not really comfortable hanging around Nightcrawler right now. So anyway, her Danger Room session is on easy mode. She just walks through it while facing. She just walks to one end of the room to the next while everything's just trying to crash her. And the X-Men are laughing their ass off because Charles spent all week preparing this shit for her to just walk through it like it was nothing, And as soon as she gets to the end, that's when, boom, she gets hit with the timey-wimey, mind-jammy shit, and she passes out. They're like, Kitty! So they take her to the med bay to see what's going on. And Wolverine is looking at her EKG, and she's like, I don't understand any of this shit. Where the hell is Charles? And that's when Kitty like wakes up and hugs Nightcrawler. So that's how you know something is different going on right now if she hugs him. And she's just like, I'm glad to see you again. I'm glad to see you're alive. And she's just like, come on, y'all, we got to go. We're like, go where? And she basically tells him, look, I ain't got time to explain. I'm Catherine Pride. I'm 30 years in the future. Some crazy shit happened. And we need to go to Washington, D.C. right now. And she's like, why? Because today is the day that Senator Kelly, who's running for president, is assassinated by the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Now, only if he gets assassinated, Charles Xavier and Morgan McTaggart gets assassinated with him. And when that happens, that's going to start World War III. So we got to go there right now. And Wolverine, even though like nobody believes her right now, Wolverine can like smell a difference or like sense a difference. He'll like, I know she's talking crazy right now, y'all, but I kind of believe her. And Storm's like, look, I don't believe anything she's saying right now. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go to Washington. I'm going to have Professor X scan your mind, and he'll let us know if you're telling the truth or not. And plus, if you are telling the truth and they are an assassination attempt on them, if we're there, at least we can know whether or not it's true or not. So they get in the Angel's private plane, and they go there, and that's it. And basically telling him how when all this shit went down, they elected a president that was anti-mutant, and he reignited the Sentinel plan, and they basically went after everybody, even Daredevil, for some reason. Even the Hulk, they killed the Hulk. Oh shit. Okay, yeah, they killed everybody. I guess, Spider-Man, yeah, everybody went. So yeah, that's what he's telling. If we don't, and basically what happens is that the world confined the Sentinels to the United States, and they said if the Sentinels ever leave the United States and pull their bullshit on outside, they're gonna nuke the U.S. And if they nuke the U.S., World War III starts. So basically, tomorrow in Kitty's time is the time the Sentinels are gonna leave the U.S. United States. So if they don't fix the future now, they're gonna get nuked. That's gonna happen. So yeah. Meanwhile, we go to the future to see what they're doing, and Kitty Pryde is unconscious, and they're basically taking her to the Baxter Building because the Baxter Building is Sentinel Central. They kill the Fantastic Four to go to the building. They're like, if we can take out the central location, then that will take out the Sentinels, and we won't get nuked, and we can kind of get our shit back. Meanwhile, Franklin's like, oh shit, the Sentinels found us, and boom, Franklin is killed. Right? This is not God mode Franklin.
Yeah,
Richard, yeah. This is not that. This is not that. This is that's how
this ain't Hickman Franklin.
This is not Hickman. This is not to me my Galactus. We make Galactus. It's not that.
Resurrecting Galactus to take out fucking
like Celestials and shit, like gods and shit. Like no, this ain't that. So he's killed instantly, and they're like halt mutants. So it's 2 Sentinels like oh shit. So Rachel blasts one of them, takes one of them out. Meanwhile, Storm is trying to attack one of them, but he's like 2 hours later, her shit's not working on him. So Colossus and Wolverine does the old fastball special, like we did it in a while, but let's do the fastball special. So it goes up, up, and away. So he goes there slashing them and gets a kind of good hit, but not a killing blow. So the Sentinel grabs him, and right before he does anything to him, he's like, Storm, I left your opening. And so she blasts the hole that Wolverine left, and that's take him out. Meanwhile, it took everything they had to take out 2 Sentinels. 3 more Sentinels are coming. They're like, oh, shit. So Colossus breaks one of the pillars of the building, and it falls on them to slow them down so they can escape. And they're like, oh, shit, we can't do this much longer. Meanwhile, we cut to the Pentagon, in present day Pentagon. And meanwhile, Raven Darkholme is walking the hallways telling them, okay, I need these reports on my desk and all shit like that. And when she goes to private and goes in the room, she turns into Mystique. Now, I had to do some research on it. This is not Mystique's first appearance, but I think this is the year where she was. I think she was like a Miss Marvel villain at first, and then this is the first time she popped up in an X-Men book. So yeah, but I think this might be the first time we've seen the Brotherhood, the new all different Brotherhood. Pyro might be the first appearance. Avalanche first appearance. Destiny, I think she's been around. Now the Blob is old school. The Blob he fought the first X-Men. Like he's on the OG Magneto Brotherhood team, so he's the only returning member here. So why are Professor X and Moira McTaggart in Washington, D.C.? Because Senator Kelly is about to pass the mutant registration bill. He's trying to get it passed through Congress, and basically they're here as witnesses to say why you shouldn't. So they're basically kind of going back and forth, stuff like that. And then while they're talking, the X-Men show up. Professor's like, what the hell y'all doing here? I got this. Y'all good. And she's like, no, we got an issue, Professor. So he does a mind scan on Storm and Kitty Pryde. And the shit he reads, he's like, oh, shit, please don't tell me that's true. Meanwhile, Angel has already been outed as a mutant. So the people, those reporters that see him, they're like, oh, shit, that's Warren Worthington III. He's a mutant. He's out and about. So then one of the cameramen said, oh, go get Lois. Go get Lois for an interview. So which Lois are they talking about? I don't know. So meanwhile, Senator Kelly is still laying on thick saying why mutants need to be this and mutants need to be that. Meanwhile, the wall is breaking behind him. And it gets broken. And meanwhile, you can see Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen in the panel. So they were talking about Lois Lane. Meanwhile, the wall breaks. Yeah. Wall behind it. And who is it? The Brotherhood. And they're basically saying, Senator Kelly, we're tired of all that bullshit you're talking about mutants. So we're going to show you some mutant menace. And they get ready to attack him. And then boom, and a lightning bolt hit the ground. And they're like, who is this? And they're like, we're the X-Men. And Blob is like, no, you're not. The only one I recognize the X-Men is Angel. Who the fuck are you? I don't remember no black chick or no short dude or no blue demon as an X-Men. He's like, we're the X-Men now. And Mystique is like, kill them. To be continued. Time out of mind.
Oh, damn. I was getting into that.
Oh. Yeah, so right when the book gets going, that's when it cuts off. So yeah, so that's the first part of Days of Future Past. You can see some stuff. You can see some stuff in the movie they straight up took from it. Some stuff they changed, like instead of sending Kitty to the past, they sent Wolverine to the past. But it's there. This is the very first time Franklin Richard was ever shown as an adult in the Marvel Universe. So, an alternate timeline. And he was killed immediately. So yeah, this is finishing up from last week. This is the second issue, and this is the last issue of this run. So this is the cover of this book, and it says, in this issue, everybody dies. That's how the book goes on. So you get a picture of Kitty Pryde. Half of her is one side, half is one side, because her mind is in 1980, but her body is in 2013. And depending on what she does in 1980 is going to determine what happens in 2013. So we're going to 1980, and we see the Brotherhood squaring off with the X-Men. You got this big panel right here where they're just squaring off at each other like that. And Mystique just like, X-Men, if you can get out the way, Brotherhood, kill them, you know. And while they talking all this shit, Senator Kelly just like, look, arrest everybody, get them out of here. So the police actually tries to arrest Blob, and Blob just smacks the shit out of him. Meanwhile, while the X-Men are confused, Avalanche hits them with an avalanche because that's what's power, avalanche.
Duh.
Yeah. Nightcrawler is the one to recover because he's the fastest of the X-Men. And so he just teleports and starts bam, 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 starts giving Avalanche the business. He teleports so fast, Avalanche can't find him. Destiny, meanwhile, is telling Avalanche, okay, Avalanche, get ready to attack on your left in 3, 2, bam, knocks out Nightcrawler because Destiny sees the future. She knows where Nightcrawler was going to be. So she hits him where he thought he was going to be. Meanwhile, while Pyro is hitting Colossus with fire, trying to see if his metal will melt, which Colossus don't want to know if it does, Wolverine's like, hey, man, that's a cool-ass trick you got. Okay, I'm going to stab you now. And Storm's like, wait, what the fuck? So she tornadoes Wolverine out of the way. to stop him. And while she tells tornadoes about the way, she also uses tornadoes to take out the fire. She does two things at one time. And she also tells everybody, all the rest of the X-Men, okay, we got two missions. Stop, make sure Professor
drop, open up shop.
That's a Rough Riders roll. So she got two missions. Make sure Senator Kelly doesn't die, and make sure Wolverine doesn't stab anybody on national TV, because this whole fight is being televised on all three channels in 1980. So yeah. Meanwhile,
yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
In 1980, that's about how many channels we had.
Yeah, three channels. That was it. 1980. Yeah. So meanwhile, a cop comes and tries to escort Professor X and Moria out of there. And as soon as they get out of here, they get hit with a gas bomb because the cop turned out to be Mystique. Yeah. And she's telling Destiny, okay, what's the situation? How we looking? They're like, oh yeah, we're looking good, but the problem is there's something messing up the timeline right now that I can't see. There's something running around here right now. And Mystique, right? Hey, even if you can't see it, it doesn't really matter. Our Brotherhood is trained more than this new X-Men that's running around right now. I don't know who these guys are, but they're not the X-Men. So we cut to 2013 to see what's going on. And they finally made it to the Baxter building. They finally snuck in and they're going up the elevator. And yeah, that's that part. So it's kind of like a little interlude. We cut back to where we were before. Back to present, well, not present day, but 1980. Kitty Pryde is seeing the X-Men getting the shit beat out of them by the Brotherhood. You know, the Brotherhood just taking them apart. Basically, the Brotherhood are the 96 Bulls, and the X-Men are the Washington Wizards, because they don't know what the fuck going on. The Brotherhood are
I don't understand that reference.
Michael Jordan, 96. Anyway, yeah, 6 titles. Yeah. Anyway, they get their ass kicked, and Storm is just like, damn, we're getting our ass kicked right now. Like, because she just became the leader of the X-Men maybe a couple issues ago. Like, this shit, all this shit is new. She's like, if Cyclops was in charge, he would have beat them by now. Because basically, after the whole Jean Grey shit, Dark Phoenix, he left the team because he was depressed. So now Storm is in charge, and she's running the team to the ground. I don't know what the hell to do. She's like, okay, let me get my head together. Let me figure out what to do. So, okay, first thing, we need to get out of this room. So she like throws a huge gust of wind and knocks everybody out of the room like an open to give the X-Men more room to work and give herself more room to work. So while they're doing it, everybody else in the middle of the street watching the X-Men and Brotherhood fight. Meanwhile, Colossus gets his ass knocked out of the room. And who knocked him out? Blob. And Blob was about to sit on him. And Colossus like, I don't even know what happens if you do sit on me. I'm pretty sure that's going to be bad. Meanwhile, Blob is just like, man, you X-Men suck. I don't know who you guys are, but you suck right now. Matter of fact, I don't even need the Brotherhood. I could beat you guys by myself if they just let me. While they're talking all that shit. Meanwhile, the National Guard is there, and they're just like, shoot them. Like, who? Everybody, all of them, shoot the Brotherhood X-Men. I don't care who they are. If they got crazy ass powers, shoot them. So Colossus gets hit. One of them has a brilliant idea to bring a flamethrower out. Pyro is using it for flamethrower, chasing after Angel. And he's got one monster going after Angel, the other monster going after Wolverine. Grabs Wolverine. He's burning alive. A storm flies through it to take it apart. Wolverine's kind of healing, but he's kind of disoriented. Meanwhile, another Nightcrawler jumps at Nightcrawler. He's like, the fuck? So they start attacking each other, start fighting each other. And Nightcrawler's like, Wolverine, get him. And the other Nightcrawler like, no, Wolverine, get him. And Wolverine is still recovering from getting burned alive and shit. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to just start stabbing. If Nightcrawler's smart, he'll get out the way. And Storm is just like, what the fuck you doing? Put your claws back. You're like, no, I'm not putting my claws back. We are in the middle of a fight right now, and I feel like stabbing somebody because I just got burned alive. And Storm is just like, no, you put your claws back or you put them on me. And that's when Wolverine turns the claws right at her and just like, oh, that could be arranged. And Storm is thinking just like, oh, he really going to use this shit on me. Like, who let this crazy motherfucker on the team? So, and Storm is just like telling him, look, Wolverine, you pull your claws out when I tell you to pull your claws out. I'm running the X-Men right now. And he's like, Cyclops won't even talk to me like that. And you're like, do I look like Cyclops? You're like, and why do you need your claws on these anyway? This is the Brotherhood, not Thanos. You don't need your shit on these. Ain't you the best there is at what you do? Like, what are you doing? Take these guys out. You're like, okay, I'm gonna do it your way right now. So we're gonna finish the conversation. Yes, snack. It's not a snick, it's snack.
Snicked and snack.
Right. So he's telling Storm, we're gonna finish this conversation. So meanwhile, Avalanche is causing another avalanche while they arguing out and shit. Colossus has a plan like, Wolverine, stay right there. I got a plan to take Blob out. So he's basically gonna use Wolverine as a lever to take Blob out, because as long as Blob is on the ground, he can't be hurt, can't be moving like that. So if you can let him off the ground, and Colossus just like, bam, knocks him out, and knocks him in the avalanche. So no more avalanches. So there's two of them down. Meanwhile, Storm is still got fire monsters like that. So just like, well, I could just create a hurricane, just erase that shit. So fire monster gone, pyro's gone. Two birds, one kill. So, and Nightcrawler knocks out Nightcrawler. And who Nightcrawler turns out to be? Mystique. Now, this is the first time they met. And Nightcrawler's looking at Mystique like, why the fuck do you look like me? And Mystique is telling him, Kurt, why do you think I look like you? Like, what does that mean? And how do you know my name? Like, ask your mother, Margoli Sadars. Ask your mother and she'll tell you the answer what's going on. And then she gets out of there and that's it. Meanwhile, like, we got to get the fuck up out of here because they're coming to get anybody. They don't care whether you're good or bad. They're coming for you. And she sneaks out of there. And she's like, don't worry, I'll get the Brotherhood. So the X-Men are running. And while they're running, they're like, hey, anybody seen Kitty? They're like, yeah, she went to go get, oh, shit, Senator Kelly. So they completely forgot why they even came here to begin with. They came here to save Senator Kelly. They got in a fight with the Brotherhood. Meanwhile, Senator Kelly is still in danger. So, and we cut to 2013 where you got Colossus, Wolverine, and Storm going to the nerve center of the Baxter building to take out the Sentinels. Meanwhile, Kitty Pryde's like unconscious body is outside with Rachel Summers. So they go in there, they see one Sentinel. They're like, we take the Sentinel out, we take out the building. So Wolverine's like, okay, do like the old days. Give me a fastball special.
Fastball.
So Colossus is a fastball special. Wolverine into the Sentinel. He like, because if he can't see me, I can chop his head off and we can get in there. And before that happens, bam, the Sentinel blasts Wolverine before he in midair before he even gets to him. And he's like, you think you snuck in? We let you in. So you're only here because we want to just kill you in one spot. So Wolverine has been blasted and dead. All you see is the adamantium skeleton just on the ground. He's out of there. And Colossus with Storm like, oh shit, we are fucked. Yes, you are. So Storm gets pissed, blasts him, takes him out with one lightning shot. And two more Sentinels come in the building. And Colossus is like, oh shit, Storm, more of them coming. So Colossus managed to push one of them down. And Storm blasts the head of the one he pushed down. Meanwhile, the other Sentinel she wasn't paying attention to reaches in his gauntlet and stabs her with a harpoon. So she's dead. So that's two X-Men down right there. Meanwhile, in the Fantastic Four building, Colossus has more rage than he's ever had before. Like his rage right now is worse than even Wolverine's Berserker rage. So he punches one Sentinel clean out of the Baxter building into the middle of the street. And he's fighting. And meanwhile, Rachel, because she got her telepathic powers, she sensed when Wolverine died. She sensed when Storm died. She's trying to stay in contact while Colossus is, oh, he just died. So she's like, oh shit, Kitty, you need to make sure whatever you're doing, you need to make sure you fixed it because if you don't, we're screwed. You know. Meanwhile, Kitty in present day sees Destiny because she wasn't fighting with the Brotherhood. She went after Senator Kelly also. And Senator Kelly's just like, you know what? If you're going to do it, do it. I'm going to just stand here and I'm going to take it like a man. And before Destiny can pull the trigger, Kitty Pryde phases through her and she gets messed up. And that's when Destiny be like, oh, she was the anomaly. She was the one in the time stream I couldn't see because Kitty, you know, mine is from the future. That's why Destiny couldn't see her. Otherwise, Disney had everything planned out, but Kitty kind of messed everything up. So she misses. And the moment she did it, she kind of like quantum leaps back to her body and shit. You know, that's an old reference for everybody that watched that show. Anyway, Storm goes in there, sees Kitty Pryde, and she's like, Kitty, you okay? And Kitty's back to normal. She's like regular. Professor X and Moria finally woke up and they're pretending like they're checking on Senator Kelly, but they're really checking on the X-Men. So they fly out of here and they're basically saying, okay, we're okay. Meanwhile, Mystique is watching everything that's going on. She's like, don't worry, Brotherhood. I'm going to break you all out of jail in time and we're going to regroup and we're going to do this shit again. So they're flying back in the plane. Professor X is telling Kitty everything. Oh, she scanned Kitty to make sure she was telling the truth. She was, and she basically is catching Kitty up on everything that happened. You're from the future. You did this, you did that, blah, blah, blah. And Kitty don't believe anything that happened. And basically Warren's just like, you know, Angel's just like, well, okay, so did we change the future? And Professor's like, only time will tell. Ba-doom, you know. Anyway, meanwhile, about a month later, we cut to the White House and the president is having a meeting with Senator Kelly and Sebastian Shaw, the leader of the Hellfire Club. And basically they're saying that, yes, the X-Men saved my life, but if there were no mutants, my life wouldn't need to have been saved to begin with. So what we need to do is to react the Sentinel program. Because the Sentinel program before wasn't government authorized. But now the president's authorizing himself called Project Wide Awake. And who he's putting in charge? Henry Peter Gyrich. And he would say nobody reports to him besides me. And he's going to be in charge of Project Wide Awake. To be continued. So that is the entire story of Days of Future Past from beginning to ending. That is the story. And that's the thing that launched all these cartoons, all these video games, these movies. And like I said, it was just 2 issues. That's all it was. People made us think it was like some big epic. If they made this shit now, it'd be like a 12-issue epic crossover with the Avengers showing up and everything. Nah, 2 issues. And Chris Mann was on some other shit by the 3rd issue. Like completely different shit by the 3rd issue. Kitty Pryde was celebrating Hanukkah and the Brood show up or some shit. Like weird shit, like nothing to do with anything. So yeah.